right moment to strike, coiled like a cobra. Storm is coming. Storm is coming. Wind is howling in my face, tearing up the asphalt. I'm not getting up in the place. Run, nowhere left to hide. I must take a stand now, find the strength inside. Welcome to the vortex, absolute ground zero of my heart. Pinnacle, the apex, never gonna tear my soul apart. I am the eye of the storm inside. I am silent and strong, waiting for the right moment to strike, coiled like a cobra coming to life. I am the eye of the storm inside. I am silent and strong, waiting for the moment. Never see me coming. Storm is coming. Storm is coming. Trying to make me break, but I'm like a fortress, nothing can penetrate. When it gets on, I don't even flinch. Fear is not a factor, I won't give them an inch. Welcome to the vortex, absolute ground zero of my heart. Pinnacle, the apex, never gonna tear my soul apart. I am the eye of the storm inside. I am silent and strong, waiting for the right moment to strike, coiled like a cobra coming to life. I am the eye of the storm inside. I am silent and strong, waiting for the moment. Never see me coming. Storm is coming. Storm is coming. Storm is coming. Storm is coming. I'm the eye of the storm. I am the eye of the storm. I am the eye of the storm. I am the eye of the storm. So done, but I can't breathe. So tired, but I can't sleep. I'm too numb, all that I feel. Hurricanes in my head. I rise up when I feel the heat. No parachute when I fall dead. They say you gotta stay hungry, but I can't eat. Hurricanes in my head. I think I'm just about to snap. Watch out! I think I'm just about to snap. Watch out! Watch out! I think I'm just about to strike a match. I'm the gasoline, blowing up, running on supreme. Heat wave spitting fire freak. In my veins, kerosene. What did you expect when you mess with me? what you get when you're pushing and you're pulling me. Damn right, call me hell machine. In my veins, kerosene. I think I'm just about to snap. Watch out! I think I'm just about to snap. Watch out! Watch out! I think I'm just about to snap. I am a heat wave spitting fire freak. Heat wave spitting fire freak. I am a heat wave spitting fire freak. I am a heat wave spitting fire freak. I am a heat wave spitting fire freak, and I'm about to snap. Watch out! I think I'm just about to snap. Watch out! Watch out! I am the eye of the storm inside. I am silent and strong, just waiting for the right moment to strike. Coiled like a cobra.
Welcome to the Dan Flannery Pool, everyone. My name's Tony Houseman. I'll be your host and announcer tonight. Finally, third time's a charm, Ames and Mason City. This meet's been postponed twice due to poor, dangerous road and traveling conditions, but today we're good enough that Mason City was able to come down. So looking forward to some fast, great swims tonight. Playing the national anthem now. We'll see who Ames is swimming tonight, whether people are swimming their best strokes or seconds or off strokes. This evening, I think I mentioned it before, but this will be Ames' last home meet of the year, but not necessarily your last chance to hear from me, whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll be broadcasting a ACAC club meet in a couple of weeks here at the Dan Flannery Pool. I think it's the, let me just look here real quick. The evening of January 13th, and then all day on the 14th and 15th. If you're not getting enough swimming, you can sure join us for some more swimming. All right, well, welcome again, everyone, to the Dan Flannery Pool, where the Ames High School Little Cyclones will be taking on Mason City this evening in boys swimming. It's like I mentioned before, the last home meet of the year for the Ames High School boys. After this, they're actually at Lincoln on Thursday, Des Moines Lincoln, at Fort Dodge a week from Thursday. And then in 2 weeks from today, they're at Indianola. And then 2 weeks from Thursday, they are at Marshalltown. So January 5th, Des Moines Lincoln, January 12th at Fort Dodge, January 17th at Indianola, January 19th at Marshalltown, and then the conference meet is January 21st, and that will be held at Fort Dodge Senior High School as well. Glad you could join us tonight. Always appreciating. those that can join us, whether they're associated with Ames High School or the visiting team, Mason City. Glad you could be with us. That's why I do this. I think I'm up to 3 or 4 years now since COVID started. So this is probably my third year of doing this. So our first race of the evening will be the 200-yard medley relay junior varsity. And we'll have 2 Ames teams swimming in that. No team from Mason City swimming for Ames. In lane 4 will be Austin Loomis, Christian Galt, Charlie Nix, and Parker White. They come in with a seed time of 2 minutes, 14.43 seconds. The other Ames team will be swimming in lane 6 with Eric Rivera Pio, Cody Brink, Evan McCorkle, and Jackson Bell. And they come in with a seed time of 1 minute, 58.08 seconds. Scoring for this evening, for those of you who aren't familiar with how scoring works in high school swimming. In relay races, which is what we'll have up first, it's 8 points for first place, 4 points for second place, and 2 points for third, and then no points for any places beyond that. When it comes to individual races, 6 points for first, 4 for second, 3 points for third, 2 for fourth, 1 for fifth, and the sixth place swimmer will not receive any points. Just so everyone knows, each team's allowed to swim up to 3 relay teams or 3 JV swimmers or 3 varsity swimmers in each of our races this evening. You'll probably see in the 50 free and the 100 free, we'll be swimming way more than 3 for our teams today. But they'll be exhibition swimmers. They will not count in these standings for the race today. So let's see. Order of events, while we have a couple minutes here, while I'm thinking they're addressing a technical problem. Well, I apologize, but they just informed me that the scoreboard won't be working. That'll make it hard for me to give you times or for you to hear times, but I'm sure they'll continue to work on the problem. Just so you know, times will be still recorded by the timing system, and depending on how quickly they get them to meet mobile, it's possible I might be able to get them to you relatively quickly. So, well, it looks like at the moment we have times. We may just not have names. So anyway, with that, the Ames A relay in lane 6, Eric Rivera Pilot out to the early and significant lead in this 200-yard medley relay for junior varsity. Swimming the second leg is Cody Brink in lane 6, and swimming the second leg in lane 4 for Ames will be Christian Galt. While I'm thinking about it, lanes are numbered from top to bottom. So lane 1 is at the far side of the pool, and lane 10 is at the near side of the pool. Basically, it'll kind of align with the scoreboard. It also appears the meet may not be in meet mobile at the moment. Swimming the third leg for Ames, Evan McCorkle in lane 6, and the third leg for Ames in lane 4, Charlie Nix will be swimming the butterfly. We'll see if the meet doesn't show up in meet mobile at some point. All right, anchor leg for Ames in lane 6. Jackson Bell swimming the anchor leg in lane 4 will be Parker White. Well, we might not have names. If we have times, I can, for the most part, keep everybody who's listening up to date with names. First to the wall, the Ames A relay team in the junior varsity, a time of 1:51.90. That's actually 7 seconds ahead of their seed time. And the squad in lane 4, 2:06.15. That is 8 seconds ahead of there. All right, so next race, the boys 200-yard medley relay varsity. Lane 4 will be Ames B relay. Lane 5 will be the Mason City A. Lane 6 will be the Ames A. And in lane 7 will be the Mason City B. So your fastest relays from each team are sitting in lanes 5 and 6. Swimming in lane 4 for Ames, Joshua Chen, followed by his brother Nick Chen. The junior freshman connection there, followed by Anthony Coburn and Tristan Day. Swimming for Mason City in lane 5. Will Reed, Anders Bookmeyer, Michael Johnson, and Mason Labby. Swimming in lane 6 for Ames, Tommy Flannery, Ian McCorkle, Josh Fisher, and Chris Fisher. Swimming for Mason City in lane 7, Marcus Ellsburn, Brody Lee, Brody Hirsch, and Ryan Hinson. So our second legs in the water, both for Ames at this point. We have Nick Chen and Ian McCorkle both swimming the breaststroke. Mason City swimmers in the water now. Anders Bookmeyer in lane 5 and Brody Lee in lane 7. Pretty much a dead heat at the moment between the Ames swimmers, though it looks like Ian McCorkle's going to pass Nick Chen onto the butterfly. We've got Anthony Coburn swimming against Josh Fisher. Anthony's in lane 4, Josh in lane 6. Mason City swimmers just entering the water in lane 5, Michael Johnson, and in lane 7, Brody Hirsch for Mason City. Josh Fisher first to the wall for the Ames A relay. Chris Fisher, Josh's brother, on the anchor here in the freestyle. And Tristan Day in lane 4, the anchor for the Ames B relay. Swimming the anchor leg for the Mason City team in lane 5, Mason Labby. And in lane 7 for Mason City, Ryan Hinson. First to the wall, Chris Fisher. 142.97 for the Ames A relay in lane 6. 144.38 as Tristan brings them home in lane 4. Looks like the Mason City A squad. Let's see, they did not have a seed time, so I'm not sure if that's the best time for them or not, but they come to the wall third in 2 minutes, 3.6 seconds. Their B relay in lane 7 finishes in 2:08.02. Our next race of the evening will be the boys' 200-yard freestyle relay. Swimming in lane 4, Alex Gatiba for Ames. Swimming in lane 6, Jonathan Reichen. And swimming in lane 8 for Ames, Solomon Stroessel. This is an all Ames heat as well. The only person with the best time on the season in this particular race, Jonathan Reichen. 2 minutes, 3.23 seconds. Alex Gatiba is a junior for Ames. Jonathan Reichen is I thought I knew, but now I'm not so sure. Jonathan Reichen is a freshman. And Solomon Stroessel is a sophomore. So out to the early lead, it looks like our swimmer in lane 8, Solomon Stroessel, followed by Alex Gatiba and Jonathan Reichen. Coming up on the halfway point in the race. Looks like they're trying to correct their scoreboard problems for us. First to the wall is Solomon Stroessel, followed by Alex and then Jonathan. See if they've... There we go. We got the meet on Meet Mobile now, so that could be helpful at times. And we got the scoreboard working again. So 3/4 of the way through the race, it's Solomon Stroessel, though it looks like Jonathan Reichen is caught up with Alex Gatiba as they get to the 3/4 point here. 2 lengths of the pool to go. Jonathan starting to take a little bit of a lead on Alex in the race there between lane 6 and lane 4. Solomon looks like he's clearly going to win this with only 25 to go. Looks like he'll be at about 203 maybe. Nope, 201.98 for Solomon. Jonathan comes in 206.85. And Alex in 210.28. Next up will be our 200-yard freestyle varsity. Swimming in lane 3 for Mason City, Caleb McCambridge. Lane 4 for Ames, Justin Shin. Lane 5 for Mason City, Daniel Schwartz. Lane 6. Lane 6 for Ames, Stuart Satterwhite. Lane 7 for Mason City, Cyrus Amamiahati. And in lane 8 for Ames, Jones Drury. Only person with a season best on my heat sheet here is Stuart Satterwhite with a time of 2:01.77. Stuart swimming in lane 6 for Ames. Though out to the early lead, it's Jones Drury in lane 8, along with Justin Shin, actually slightly in the lead now in lane 4. Justin Shin, a junior for Ames. Excuse me, Jones Drury, also a junior. Third place appears to be Stuart Satterwhite. At this point in the race, Stuart is a senior for Ames High School. So at the moment, we're Ames 1, 2, 3. The first swimmer for Mason City looks to be Daniel Schwartz. So it's Justin Shin, Jones Drury, Stuart Satterwhite, and Daniel Schwartz, your top 4 at the halfway mark of the race. Justin Shin just ever so slowly increasing his lead as we progress throughout the race. Same could probably be said for the gap between Jones Drury and Stuart Satterwhite. $50 to go here, 3/4 of the way through the race. It looks to be Justin Shin by a body length, but I think Jones Drury is starting to make a bit of a move on Justin. Daniel Schwartz not giving anything to Stuart Satterwhite. He's going to make him work for that 3rd place or maybe even catch him. Looks like it's still Justin Shin by about a body length with half the pool to go. Daniel Schwartz trying to make his move on Stuart Satterwhite, but I think he's going to come up a little short for 3rd place today. So Justin Shin first in 157.36, followed by Jones Drury 158.12. Stuart Satterwhite 2:03.86, and Daniel Schwartz for Mason City finishes 4th in 2 minutes 5.41 seconds. And hey, look at that. We got names on the board. That'll make everything a little easier for those of you at home trying to watch and trying to keep track of who's swimming where. Just a reminder, lane 1's at the top of the pool, lane 10's at the bottom of the pool. So the scoreboard and the pool align, if you will, in that respect. It's always a little confusing when you're at a pool where the scoreboard goes top to bottom and the actual pool goes bottom to top. But we do not have that problem today. All right, the next race we have, event number 5, the boys 200-yard individual medley for junior varsity. Once again, an all Ames heat. Swimming in lane 4, Anthony Colburn. For Ames, he's a senior. Swimming in lane 6, Quinn Barker for Ames. And he is a freshman. Neither one of them have a previous time on the season. So we'll start out with the butterfly here for Anthony and Quinn, followed by the backstroke, then the breaststroke, and then the freestyle. Down and back, 50 yards of each stroke. Anthony Coburn first to the wall at 25, out to a little over a body length lead. Crazy thing in the individual medley is the breaststroke is obviously kind of a make it break it stroke for a lot of people. You'll see a lot of movement. I don't know if that'll happen today in either one of our races, but it's a possibility. 29.7 for Anthony on his butterfly, 34.47 for Quinn. Looks like Anthony maybe extending his lead a little bit on the backstroke as well. Onto the breaststroke now for both of our swimmers. Sorry, I missed Anthony's split there, but 41.59 for Quinn on the backstroke. Anthony making the turn for 25 to go on the breaststroke. Doesn't look like the breaststroke is going to have any significant impact on this race today as Anthony makes the turn. 43.67 for his breaststroke leg. 50 free to go for him. Quinn makes the turn. 49.23 for his breaststroke. Anthony on his way home after the final turn. Anthony with the 32.39 on his final 50 for a time for the race of 2 minutes 22.95 seconds. Quinn in his debut for Ames High School in the 200 individual medley. Guess we could consider this a best time for him, at least as far as high school goes. Not sure what happened there. There's a time for him, but must have been a little over 2:40. So varsity swimmer or varsity race up next. Lane 3 swimming for Mason City, Brody Hirsch. Lane 4 for Ames, Nick Chen, a freshman. Lane 5 for Mason City, Anders Brookmeyer. Lane 6 for Ames, Joshua Chen, a junior. And in lane 8 for Ames, Keenan Taintor, a sophomore. Looks like Josh Chen is a no-show in this race. So Ames will only have 2 swimmers, Mason City 2 as well. That'll probably make for a much more competitive race between the remaining swimmers, as it's almost a dead heat between Keenan and Nick Chen. Just 0.18 separates them after the butterfly, followed by Anders and Brody for Mason City. At the wall, it's Nick Chen by just about an arm's length over Keenan, but looks like a little better turn for Nick, who extends his lead over Keenan as they approach the halfway in the race. Third, Anders Bookmeyer, consistently kind of sitting on Nick Chen's heels. We'll see how the breaststroke, the leg we're in now, affects everyone. 34.96 for Nick Chen's backstroke, 35.69 for Keenan, and 37.74 for Anders. Brody Hirsch up in lane 3, 41.39 on his backstroke. Does appear the breaststroke is having an impact on this race as Nick Chen extends his lead over the entire field. Meanwhile, Anders Bookmeyer making up some ground on Keenan during this breaststroke. This race between those two will definitely come down. Oh yeah, almost 3 seconds faster for Anders on that breaststroke than Keenan. So this one's for second place, gonna come down to the 50 free. Nick Chen on his way home. Half a length of the pool to go for Nick. Looks like Keenan's probably going to get second as he appears to be pulling away from Anders on this freestyle leg and is out to over a body length. Nick Chen, our first finisher, 2 minutes 15.74 seconds, just under 32 for his freestyle split, 31.96. Keenan comes home 2:23.68, a 32.00 split. Anders 2:27.6, but for whatever reason, no split for him. And coming in fourth, Brody Hirsch gets to the wall in 2:40.02, 37.54 for his split. All right, 50 freestyle junior varsity up next. We'll have 3 heats. Swimming in lane 3 for Mason City, Jonathan Thangra. Swimming in lane 5 for Mason City, Samuel Schwartz. Swimming in lane 6 for Ames, David Lee. Looks like he's a senior. And then swimming in lane 7 for Mason City, Brant Hockenstadt. David Lee first to the wall. Body length lead on Samuel Schwartz. Going to come home and finish almost 2 body lengths ahead of everybody else. 32.16 for David Lee. 35.21 for Mason City's Samuel Schwartz. Brant Hockenstadt for Mason City third in 36.77. And no time for Jonathan Tangra. Oh, 45.93. There we go. All right, heat 2. Lane 2, Silas Erickson for Ames. Lane 3, Elias Carlson for Mason City. Lane 4, Christian Galt for Ames. Lane 5, Bjorn Rowan for Mason City. Lane 6, Parker White for Ames. Lane 7, Rashawn Winter for Mason City. Lane 8, Max Broekman for Ames. And lane 9, Peter Hardy for Mason City. Everybody in this heat's an exhibition. Just a reminder, each team can only swim 3 people to count towards the junior varsity scores or the varsity scores. So our last heat here will comprise those who can score. Anyway, looks like Christian Galt, Parker White, followed closely by Max Broekman. That's Christian Galt, 27.15. Parker White, 27.50. Max Broekman, 28.62. Silas Erickson, all 4 of those boys for Ames. Silas with a time of 30.19. Then it's Elias Carlson, Rashawn Winter, Bjorn Rowan, and Peter Hardy finishing for Mason City in 30.55, 31.97, 34.28, and 39.77. For the Ames boys, I believe those all looked like best times for everyone in that race. All right, heat 3, the one that counts in the scoring. Lane 2, Jackson Bell for Ames. Lane 3, Will Reed for Mason City. Lane 4, Charlie Nix for Ames. Lane 5, Brody Lee for Mason City. Lane 6, Evan McCorkle for Ames. Lane 7, Arya Sahadian for Mason City. And in lane 8, Austin Loomis for Ames. Loomis is a senior. McCorkle is a freshman, I believe. Yep, a freshman. Charlie Nix, I think, is a sophomore or a junior. A junior, Charlie is. And Jackson Bell for Ames is a sophomore. Looks like first to the wall is going to be Evan McCorkle in lane 6, followed closely in lane 4 by Charlie Nix. Jackson Bell in lane 8 for Ames gets third, and Austin Loomis finishes fourth. It does appear Jackson Bell was an exhibition swimmer, so even though he got third, he will not count in the junior varsity scores. Mason City finishes 5, 6, and 7 in times of 28.85, 29.42, and 30.82. All right, the 50-yard freestyle varsity. Lane 3, Ryan Hinson for Mason City. Lane 4, Tristan Day for Ames. Lane 5, Mason Labby for Mason City. Lane 6, Evan Philmeyer for Ames. Lane 7, Avery Gregori for Mason City. And swimming in lane 8, Chris Fisher for Ames. Tristan Day with the best time this season of 23.08 in lane 4 for Ames. Evan Philmeyer, 21.68 in lane 6. And Chris Fisher swimming in lane 8 has a 23.94 99 on the season. Pierre Evan Philmeyer is going to be first to the wall. Best time or not? Let's see. 22:27. I believe the answer is no, not a best time for him. Let's see. Second, 23:01 for Tristan Day. That is the best time for him by 7/100ths. And Chris Fisher finishing third in 23:90 or 24:20, just off of his best time of 23:99. Mason City Swimmers in fourth, Mason Labby, 28:08, lane 5, Avery Grigori, 28:18, and then sixth place, Ryan Hinson, 28:39 for him. We'll have a 10-minute break now to give the swimmers a chance to warm up and cool down. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. 2 minutes, everyone. Sorry about that. We got a song there that wasn't part of my officially approved playlist, so glad I got back in time to stop that. Hopefully, there wasn't anything wrong with or offensive in that song, so I apologize for that. But got another minute or two, and then we'll be off and running with the 100 butterfly. All right, sounds like we're get started with our junior varsity 100 butterfly. Lane 2, Alex Katiba for Ames. Lane 4, Solomon Stroessel for Ames. Lane 6, Jones Drury for Ames. And in lane 8, Anthony Coburn for Ames. Looks like a slight lead for Jones Drury as they come up out of the water off the start. Yep, he's first to the wall, followed by Anthony Coburn and super closely by Solomon Stroessel. Solomon may actually have a slight lead on Anthony now. Solomon swimming in lane 4. Alex, 4th place, swimming in lane 2 for Ames. It's Jones Drury in 27.82 at the 50, 28.69 for Solomon Stroessel, 29.69 for Anthony Coburn. About 1 second separating each of those three. Still Jones Drury, followed by Solomon Stroessel, about a body length separating those two. Then over a body length back to Anthony, and about another body length back to Alex in this 100 butterfly. First to the wall, Anthony Coburn, 31.08 on his second 50 for a total time of 58.9. Solomon Stroessel, 32.22 on his second 50, 1 minute, 0.91 seconds for him. Anthony Coburn, 34.88, 104.57 for him. And finishing fourth, Alex Katiba, 1 minute, 8.48 seconds. All right, in our varsity heat of the 100-yard butterfly. Lane 3, Brody Hurst for Mason City. Lane 4, Josh Fisher for Ames. Lane 5, Michael Johnson for Mason City. Lane 6, Ian McCorkle for Ames. No one in lane 7. And in lane 8, Joshua Chen for Ames. All three of the Ames swimmers in this heat, juniors, part of a very strong junior class that we have. With Ian McCorkle, Evan Philmeyer, Josh Fisher, Josh Chen. I feel like I might be missing somebody. At the 50, it's going to be Josh Chen, 25 flat, followed by Ian McCorkle, 25.59. And Josh Fisher, 26.19. See if Josh Chen can hold off Ian McCorkle. Pretty much a dead heat at the turn with 25 to go. Josh Fisher trying to make himself relevant in this race up in lane 4, trying to make a move at the end. Looks like Ian McCorkle looks ever so slightly, and it's Ian to the wall first, 53.75, followed by Josh Chen, 54.17. Josh Fisher, 54.81. First Mason City swimmer is going to be Micah Johnson, finishing at a time of 106.38. And then Brody Hirsch will be 5th place for Mason City in a time of 112.67. Next up, we have the 100-yard freestyle junior varsity. Just one heat of this. All right, David Lee swimming in lane 2 for Ames. Lane 3, Jackson Bell for Ames. Lane 4, Jonathan Reichen for Ames. Lane 5, Marcus Ellsburn for Mason City. Lane 6, Eric Rivera Pio for Ames. Lane 7, Elias Carlson for Mason City. And lane 8, Justin Shin for Ames. David Lee for Ames with the best time this season of 1 minute 29.86 seconds. Swimming in lane 3 for Ames, Jackson Bell, best time this season 59.56. Jonathan Reichen, best time on the season 56.98. And down in lane 8 for Ames, Justin Shin 57.28. His best time on the season. So not surprising, Justin Shin first to the wall at the 50. 25.54 for him. Eric 26.64 second, 27.43 and 53 for Jackson Bell and Jonathan Reichen. Those are your top 4. Mason City swimmers in 5 and 7, currently 5th and 6th in the race, and David Lee 7th. Looks like it's going to be Justin Shin by a little over 2 body lengths to the wall. Best time for him by a lot, from 57.28 down to 52.56. That's like a 5-second time drop. That's huge. Second, Eric Vera Pio, 56.44. And in third, Jackson Bell, 56.88. Jonathan Reichen finishes fourth, 57.61. Jonathan Reichen just off of his best time. Jackson Bell also just off. Oh, actually, it's a 3-second time drop for Jackson Bell. David Lee with a 12-second time drops in lane 2 in that last heat. Huge time drop for him on the season. All right, 100-yard freestyle varsity up next. Lane 3, Mason Labby for Mason City. Lane 4, Tristan Day for Ames. Lane 5, Daniel Schwartz for Mason City. Lane 6, Evan Philmeyer for Ames. Lane 7, Avery Grigori for Mason City. And Lane 8, Cody Brink for Ames. Tristan Day in Lane 4, best time on the year, 50.08. Evan Philmeyer, 48.22. And Cody Brink, 51.24. The best times for those 3 main swimmers. Evan out to the early, a little over body length, or a little over arm's length lead, excuse me. Cody Brinken working to stay right with him, but it's Evan Philmeyer, 24. Oh, it actually was Cody Brink to the wall first, 24.52, followed by Evan at 24.53. Tristan Day in just over 25 seconds. At the turn, Evan Philmeyer with a slightly better turn to get a lead. We'll see if Cody can bring him back in the last 25 here. Doesn't look like it. It looks like it's going to be Evan Philmeyer to the wall first. In a time of 50.38, followed by Cody Burke, 51.49. Tristan Day, 52.31. Let's see. Nope, no best times for any of the Ames swimmers. For whom we have time finishing 4th for Mason City, Daniel Schwartz for 59.03. 5th, Libby Mason, 104. And Avery Grigori, 6th and 106.25. Next up, we got the boys 500-yard freestyle junior varsity. We have 2 Ames swimmers in this race. Keenan Taintor for Ames, sophomore, had the best time in this race of 5 minutes 54.3 seconds. And then Tommy Flannery swimming in lane 6 for Ames, a junior, part of a big junior class. Looking at my sheet here, we definitely have more juniors than any other class this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 17 juniors and about 8 seniors, 10 sophomores, and 8 freshmen, it looks like. No wonder it's a strong junior class this year. Justin Shin might be the other key swimmer I missed out of that group when I was rattling off the top 4 or 5 juniors that were having a big impact this year. All right, Tommy Flannery out to the early lead at the 100, 58.71 for him, swimming 30.5 on that 50. Keenan Taintor, 33.14 for him. See how well Tommy keeps up those 30.5s as we move throughout the race here. Only 2 swimmers, we might not see it, but often in the 500 you can see a fair amount of movement from the first 200 or 300 yards to the last couple of 100 yards. Places can change up quite a bit sometimes. 31:42 for Tommy on the last 50, 36:37 for Keenan. So a little bit slower for Tommy. Let's hope he kind of settles in at a good pace that he can hold for the rainbow the duration of this race. 31:61. So yep, right there at 31 and a half for his last two 50s. Next time he gets to the start into the pool, he'll be half done. 37:42 for Keenan, so he slowed down a little bit more for him. Tommy Flannery looking comfortable here as he gets to the halfway mark of the race. Let's see what this 50 is. 31:98, a few tenths slower, but still staying pretty close to those mid 31s. $38.27 for Keenan. So just a little bit slower for him on the last 50. Meanwhile, Tommy at 32:08 has added about a half a second to his 50s from where he was a couple of 50s ago. But like Tommy might catch Keenan before this race is over. I feel like Tommy's maybe sped up just a little bit. Let's see here. Yep, 31:93, back under 32, rather than just over 32. When Tommy gets back to the wall in lane 6, he'll have, I believe, 100 yards to go. He slips past Keenan Taintor. Let's see where Tommy's at. Over or under 32? Just a little over 32. 100 to go for him. It's like our meet official. Jason Horace out with the bell to let Tommy know he's got a 50 left when he gets back to the start end of the pool. The old 33:40, move it over. See if you can't get close to a 31 flat or maybe even a little under here on the last 50. If you've got anything left in the tank. We're looking at what, about a 5:13, give or take, for Tommy. See, we have varsity scores on our scoreboard too. It saves me a little bit of work having to look them up. Currently in the varsity race is Ames 148, Mason City 25. Tommy to the wall. And the time of 5:13.78, 31:61 on that last 50 for him. Keenan with a 50 to go here when he gets to the wall. See if he can't goose his pace a little bit. 37:12. We'll see if he can't swim something in the upper 35s, maybe even just a 36. If you've got anything left in the tank here. Let's see, Keenan to the wall in his last 35:53, so even sub 36, dropped almost 2 seconds on that last 50 for Keenan. Finishes in 6:03.68. Tommy finished in 5:13.78. That'd be a best time for Tommy on the season by about 9 seconds. All right, varsity boys, 500-yard freestyle up next. Swimming in lane 3, Caleb McCambridge for Mason City. Lane 4, Chris Fisher for Ames. Lane 5, Anders Bookmeyer for Mason City. Lane 6, Ian McCorkle for Ames. Lane 7, Cyrus Amami Ohadi for Mason City. And Lane 8, Evan McCorkle. So we've got a couple of brothers in this heat review. Ian McCorkle in Lane 6, Evan McCorkle in Lane 8. That's a junior freshman combination, kind of like Josh Chen and Nick Chen, a junior freshman brother combination. Whereas the Josh Fisher, Chris Fisher, that's a junior sophomore. Though I believe next year we'll have 3 Fisher brothers on the squad. Josh Fisher, Chris Fisher, and their brother Ryan Fisher, I believe, is a freshman next fall. So get an almost all Fisher relay if Coach Joe Fisher wanted to do such a thing at some point. Not quite, but close. Maybe we can throw Josh Chen in there. We'd have 2 Joshes and 3 Fishers. How about that? All right, enough of that. How are we doing here as we come into the 100? It looks like Ian McCorkle first to the wall. 28 flat, 50, 53, 92 for his first 100, followed by Chris Fisher, 55, 14. Evan McCorkle, 56, 42. Our first Mason City swimmer, Anders Bookmeyer, 65, 26. Second Mason City swimmer, Caleb McCambridge, home 13. 13. Meanwhile, Cyrus Amami Ahari, 6th place swimmer. Here, 126.19 for him at the 100. Ian McCorkle extending his lead to about a body length and a half. He's swimming 29.27 to 30.05 for Chris Fisher and 30.6 for Evan McCorkle. So the split's just a little bit quicker than everybody else's. See what Ian's split here is. 29.50. Holding on to those sub 29 and a halves. Chris Fisher 30.6. Evan McCorkle almost just under 31. So we'll see how our guys do as we go along here. Essentially 29 and a half, 30 and a half, and 31. This race is going to get a little confusing as we get lap swimmers here as far as who's got how much left to go. So Ian McCorkle, 29.97. 30, so we got 30 and a half, and almost 31 and a half for our top 3 Ames swimmers. Ian McCorkle in 6, Chris Fisher in 4, Evan McCorkle in 8. In case you're curious, Ian McCorkle in lane 6 is a junior. Chris Fisher swimming in lane 4 is a sophomore, and Evan McCorkle swimming in lane 8 is a freshman. Evan McCorkle swims in a family. I know his father, Doug, was actually a swimmer in college. And I think there are 5 or 6 children in the McCorkle family that actually swim. A couple older girls, and then Ian and Evan. And then I think there might be at least one more younger one that swims as well. I think Abby and Sophie were the older McCorkle daughters that swam for the Ames High School girls. As recently as last year for one of them, and a couple of years ago for the other one. So anyway, Ian holding on to his lead, 3:22.97 for him. At the 3:50, I believe, if I did some rough math there. Maybe that was 400 actually. Yeah, I believe that was the 400. So 3:53 for Ian, 4 minutes for Josh Fisher, 4:06 for Evan McCorkle. Not that the 500 free is Ian's traditional race that he swims, but it looks like the time he's going to swim today would actually put him in a positive position to potentially make it state if Coach Joe thought it was worthwhile to put him in this race. Chris Fisher, 44 minutes, 32 seconds in second. Evan McCorkle, 4:37.41. Often 5 minutes. The 5 minute mark's kind of the magic number. If you're 5, you're going to be really close as to whether you would qualify for state or not. So 4:54 for Ian, a 29:68 on his last 50. So that would be a really solid time with a good chance of making it to state if that's a race they were interested in having him swim. 5:03:39 for Chris Fisher, just outside that 5-minute mark. 30.97 for him on the last 50. Evan McCorkle, 5:08:32 with a 30.91 last 50 for him. Evan's time pretty much exactly on his best time. Chris Fisher just a second over his best time. Looks like fourth place is Anders Brookmeyer for Mason City, swimming in lane 5. And then swimming in lane 3, Caleb McCambridge is our 5th place swimmer in this race. And Cyrus swimming in lane 7, 6th place, though I think he may have an extra lap to go relative to Anders swimming in lane 5. Anders finishing in 6:01:40. And it looks like Caleb's going to finish in about 6:11, maybe 12. 6:11:92, but it looks like he's got a 50 to go. Impressive swims for these young men from Mason City, as I'm sure these are races that distances they don't typically try to swim this far, this fast. So kudos to them. Cyrus with a 50 to go, I think. Let's see if Caleb's done here. Yes, he is. 6:50.99 for him in that 500 free. Next up, I believe, is the 200 free relay, both junior varsity and varsity. I'd love to know what the Mason City swimmers' best times for the 500 are this year, but they're not on my heat sheet. That would have been exciting to know if they had achieved best times on the season. Always love to give those shout outs to the swimmers when they've achieved something in the swim season, during the swim season. All right, Cyrus, nice way to finish it out. 7:29:67 for Cyrus. All right, next up, boys 200-yard freestyle junior varsity. So lane 4, the Ames B squad of Jonathan Reichen, Christian Galt, Eric Rivera-Pilot, and David Lee. Lane 5 for Mason City, Peter Hardy, Brant Hockenstad, Samuel Schwartz, and Jonathan Dangra. Lane 6, the Ames A squad, Solomon Stroessel, Austin Loomis, Quinn Barker, and Cyrus Erickson. The only seed time we have in this race is for the Ames A relay, swimming in lane 6, 1:53.11. Looks like our first 2 Ames swimmers here are going to be a dead heat at the 25. Just as a reminder, that's Jonathan Reichen swimming in lane 4 and Solomon Stroessel in lane 6. Still a dead heat between those two guys. The next swimmers for Ames in the water will be Christian Galt in lane 4 and Austin Loomis in lane 6. 3 100s separating those two relay teams at the first 50. So it looks like Austin Loomis starting to put a little bit of space between himself and Christian Galt. Second swimmer in the water for Mason City, Brent Hockenstad. Almost, though not quite, almost a body length lead for the relay team in lane 6. Third swimmers in the water for Ames, Eric Rivera-Pilot and Quinn Barker swimming in lane 6. Looks like Eric maybe making up a little distance on Quinn Barker here. Oh yeah, almost even coming up out of the 25 turn. Eric with a little bit of a lead now, looking super strong coming to the wall. Digging deep, third swimmer in the water for Mason City, Samuel Schwartz. Anchor swimmers in the water for Ames here, David Lee in lane 4 and Silas Erickson in lane 6. Looks like Silas taking the lead back for the A relay squad in lane 6. Looks like it's going to be the Ames relay team finishing first in a time of 150.17. 22 on that last split for Silas Erickson. Second, the Ames relay team in lane 4, 152.27. 33.67. That seems a little slow, but 33.67 is what it says for David Lee. The Ames A relay in lane 6 had a previous seed time of 153.11, so they dropped almost 3 seconds off their relay time. Jonathan Zangara bringing it home for Mason City in lane 5. All right, varsity heat. 200-yard freestyle relay. Lane 4, Mason City, Michael Johnson, Daniel Schwartz, Mason Labby, and Avery Grigori. In lane 4 for Ames, the B relay, Jones Drury, Alex Gatiba, Jackson Bell, Stuart Satterwhite. Lane 5, Mason City's B relay, Ryan Hinson, Will Red, Brody Lee, and Marcus Ellsburn. Lane 6, the Ames A relay, Evan Philmeyer, Keenan Taintor, Nick Chen, Tucker White. Lane 7 for Mason City, their C relay, Elias Carlson, Arya Sajadian, Rashawn Winter, and Bjorn Rowan. Lane 8 for Ames, the C relay, Justin Chin, Anthony Colvin, Charlie Nixon, Max Broekman. It's like Coach Joe tried to set those Ames 3 relay teams up to have almost the exact same time. Their seed times are just a few tenths different. First to the wall is the relay team in lane 6 with Evan Philmeyer. Second swimmers in the water for Ames, Alex Gatiba, Keenan Taintor, and Anthony Coburn. Second swimmers in the water for Mason City, Daniel Schwartz in 3, Will Red in 4 or 5, and Arya Saladian in 7 for Mason City. Out in lane 8, Anthony Coburn making a move to try to get a little closer to this Ames relay in lane 6. Third swimmers in the water for Ames, Jackson Bell in 4, Nick Chen in 6, and Charlie Nix in 8, as that race seems to tighten up a little bit as we get closer. Third swimmers in the water for Mason City, Mason Labby in 3, Brody Lee in 5, and Rashawn Winter in 7. Still the Ames relay team in lane 6, though things are tightening up with the squad out there in lane 8. Anchor swimmers, lane 4, Stuart Satterwhite, lane 6, Parker White, and lane 8, Max Broekman. Tightening up significantly between Parker in 6 and Max in 8. Looks to me like Max might be just getting a little bit of a lead. See who can bring this home and get there first in lane 4, gaining on everybody, but it's going to be lane 8. The Ames relay, 26.09 anchor for Max, 138.71 for that group, 26.25 anchor for Parker, 138.78 for the relay team in lane 6, and 140.01 in lane 4 for the Ames B relay, 26.19 on that anchor for Stuart Satterwhite. 26.09, 26.19, and 26.25, pretty tight on those anchor legs for the 3 Ames relay teams. Fourth, the Mason City A relay, 149.82, and fifth place, Mason City B, 156.36, and relay C, 214.68 for Mason City. Another 10-minute break for us here. So what do we have? 6:36 p.m. See you back here about 6:45. We should be ramping up. Three different races for both junior varsity and varsity remain on the day. 100-yard backstroke, 100-yard breaststroke, and then the 400-yard freestyle relay. See if I can't get you some team scores, since they don't have them on the board at the moment. Team scores currently, refresh. Not sure if they're up to date or not. They're very different than what was on the board earlier. The junior varsity race, Ames with a healthy lead, and in the varsity race, Ames 99, Mason City 24. Thank everyone for listening so far today. Like I said, we're a couple minutes into our 10-minute break, so see everybody back here in about 7 or 8 minutes, about 7:45 or so. All right, everybody. Looks like we're back. Ready to kick off some 100 backstroke swimming. Junior varsity here. Lane 4, Stuart Satterwhite for Ames. Eric Rivera Pilot for Ames in lane 6. And in lane 8 for Ames, Quinn Barker. Stuart comes into this with the best time on the season of 1 minute 4.02 seconds. Excuse me. Eric swimming in lane 6, 1:02.01, his best time, and Quinn Barker 1:17.46. So not too surprising that Eric in lane 6 out to the early lead over Stewart and Quinn. Stuart Satterwhite, a senior. Eric, a senior. And Quinn Barker, a freshman. Last 25, it's Eric by a couple of body lengths, followed by Stuart Satterwhite and Quinn Barker. Big question now, is anybody going to get a best time? I would say no. Eric, 1:03.6, just about a second off of his best time. Stuart with a 1:07, about 3 seconds off of his best time. And Quinn, our best chance here at a best time? Yes, I think so. 1:16.89 is a best time for Quinn in the 100 backstroke. Kudos to him for that. All right, varsity 100 backstroke. Lane 3, Arya Sashadian for Mason City. Lane 4, Tommy Flannery for Ames. Lane 5, Will Red for Mason City. Lane 6, Josh Fisher for Ames. No swimmer in 7. And lane 8, Cody Brink for Ames. We got 2 swimmers with best times in this event. Tommy Flannery swimming in lane 4, best time of 59.90 seconds this season. And down in lane 8, Cody Brink, best time of 1 minute, even 0.77 seconds. Out to the early lead, though, it's Josh Fisher. Going to go out on a limb and assume he can swim probably mid-50s. Though we'll find out today. Josh looking pretty strong, 27.44 for the first 50. Second to the wall, it's Tommy Flannery, 29.18, and followed only by 4/100s, Cody Brink, just behind him. Looks to me, well, I don't know, still pretty even for second place between Tommy and Cody. Josh with a couple of body lengths plus lead, with a half a length of the pool to go. Cody with an ever so slight lead over Tommy, I think. Josh coming to the wall, 28.03 on that second one, 55.47 for him. Second goes to Tommy Flannery, 59.12. And third, Cody Brink, 59.50. Looks like fourth place is going to go to Will Red of Mason City in a time of 1:13.66. And then our fifth place swimmer on the day, Arya, up in lane 3, swimming for Mason City, comes to the wall in a time of 1:25.50. No, I think he may have been just a hair faster than that. Anyway, that's all beside the point. 100-yard breaststroke junior varsity. Lane 4, Max Broekman for Ames. Lane 5, Samuel Schwartz for Mason City. And in lane 6, Silas Erickson for Ames. Silas Erickson, freshman, swimming in lane 6 for Ames. And Max Broekman, a senior, swimming for Ames in lane 4. Early lead, Silas Erickson, as we get to the flags at the turn end of the pool. Eric with almost a body length lead. See how well everyone navigates the turn. Looks like Samuel making up a little bit of distance on that turn on Silas Erickson. Silas lingering a little at the wall, I think. And Samuel with a little stronger push off the wall. Samuel making up some distance on Silas. If it's like the last turn, they could be almost dead even when they come up out of the water here. But nope, still about a little over an arm's length lead for Silas over Samuel. Max Brokeman about a couple of body lengths behind. Looks to me like Silas extending his lead a little bit on this 25, out to getting close to a body length lead after it being so close. Samuel in lane 5 trying to do his darndest to catch up with Silas in lane 6. He's making up some distance, but I don't know if there's enough pool left for him to catch him. Or maybe there is. No, that was close. Silas does get to the wall first for Ames in 137.25. Samuel for Mason City second by just a couple tenths, 137.46 for him. Third place goes to Max Brokeman of Ames in 148.74. All right, varsity swimmers. Swimming in lane 3, Ryan Hinson for Mason City. Lane 4, Christian Galt for Ames. Lane 5, Brody Lee for Mason City. Lane 6, Nick Chen for Ames. Lane 7, Marcus Ellsburn for Mason City. And in lane 8, Parker White for Ames. Best times for the Ames swimmers on the season. Lane 4, Christian Galt, 120.32. Nick Chen swimming in lane 6, 104.82. And Parker White, 123.38. So at least on paper, Nick Chen with a significant lead, if you will, over his fellow teammates. Nick to the wall first in 31.72, followed closely by Brody Lee and Christian Galt of Ames, 37.07 for Christian. Brody 37.17 in third. And fourth place, not really too far behind, Ryan Hinson, 38.09. Race for second here. Nick Chen easily wrapping up first place here. See if he gets a best time on the season. 104.82 is his previous best time. Doesn't look like it's going to happen in this race anyway. 106.9 for him. Looks like Christian Galt's going to be our second place swimmer. 118.40 for him. That, I believe, is a best time by 2 seconds. Yep. Third goes to Mason City's Brody Lee, and fourth to Mason City's Ryan Hinson. 120.77 for Brody, 121.66 for Ryan. Fifth goes to Parker White, 122.98. That is the best time for him by almost half a second. And then Marcus Ellsburn for Mason City at 126.03. All right, 400 freestyle relays. 2 Ames teams in this heat. Swimming in lane 4, the Ames B relay. Keenan Taintor, Silas Erickson, Jonathan Reichen, and Stuart Satterwhite. Seed time 3 minutes, 58.12 seconds. Lane 6, swimming for Ames, their A relay team for junior varsity. Justin Shin in the water now. He'll be followed by Quinn Barker, Austin Loomis, and Charlie Nix. 3:58.48. The seed time for that group. Basically, the seed times are the same for these 2 relays, though Justin Shin out to the early lead, 25.54 on his first 50. Keenan Taintor, 27.42 on his first 50. Looks to me like Justin Shin with the 2 body length lead. With 50 to go, or less than 50 now, half a length of the pool, 2+ for Justin Shin. What's he going to swim here? About a 53.13 on his first 100. Keenan comes in with the 57.93, so about almost 5 seconds between those 2 teams. We'll see how this shakes out as we move throughout this relay. Swimmers in the water now. Silas Erickson in lane 4 and Quinn Barker in lane 6. 2 freshman swimmers for Ames. Silas to the wall first in a 31.28. Quinn to the wall first. Then comes Silas. 31-28 for Quinn, 34-54 for Silas on their first 50 splits. At the moment, it's kind of hard to believe the seed times for these two relays are the same, but there may be a big difference in our back half swimmers in this relay. Third swimmers in the water, lane 6 will be Austin Loomis, and in lane 4 will be Jonathan Reichen. Austin Loomis with about a half a length of the pool lead over Jonathan Reichen and his B relay compatriots. That doesn't appear to have changed at the 50, still about a half a length of the pool. 21.08 for Austin on his first 50, if that's right. 27.59, that seems awfully fast, but maybe he did swim for Austin. 27.59 for Jonathan. I'm a little skeptical that Austin Loomis swam at 21.08. 31.43 that time. Okay, anchor swimmers in the water. Charlie Nix in lane 6. Stuart Satterwhite jumping into the water in lane 4. Maybe I misread the board. Maybe that was 27.08 for Austin. But anyway, 50 to go. Charlie Nix in the lead for the Ames A relay. Still with a little over a half a length to the pool. 28.50 for Charlie Nix. 27.85 for Stuart Satterwhite on each of their first 50s. So even though Stuart a little quicker on his first 50, not enough of a gap for him to have any chance of catching Charlie Nix before the finish. So anyway, 3:58.16 for the Ames A relay, pretty much spot on to their seed time. The B relay, 4:06.13. All right, last race of the evening, the 400-yard freestyle relay for varsity. Lane 4, the Ames B relay of Evan Fellmeyer, Chris Fisher, Evan McCorkle, and Alex Gatiba. Lane 5, Mason City A relay of Michael Johnson, Daniel Schwartz, Anders Buchmeyer, and Brody Hirsch. Lane 6, the Ames A relay of Josh Fisher, Tristan Day, Cody Brink, and Solomon Strossel. Lane 7, Marshalltown's B relay, Caleb McCambridge, Avery Gregory, Rashawn Winter, and Elias Carlson. The Ames C relay is in lane 8 with Ian McCorkle, Josh Chen, Jones Drury, and Tommy Flannery. Once again, looks like Coach Joe Fisher has tried to seed those 3 Ames relays as absolutely close as he possibly can. On paper, they're all within 14 100ths of a second of each other. Looks like out to the early lead, it's Josh Fisher. In lane 6, let's see, I think down here in lane 8 is actually going to be Ian McCorkle. Second to the wall, followed by Evan Fellmeyer. 23.67, 25.13, and 25.73 for those guys. 28.68 and 33.4 the first splits for Michael Johnson and Caleb McCambridge from Mason City. Josh Fisher first to the wall. Let's see what his 48.13 for his 100 split. 52. Oh, Evan beats Ian by 1/100th in that first 100. 52.93 to 52.94. Second swimmers in the water now. Chris Fisher in lane 4. Daniel Schwartz, in lane 5. Tristan Day in 6. Avery Gregory in 7. And Josh Chen in 8. Ames A relay still out to a healthy lead with Tristan Day, but the battle for second still pretty close. So it looks like Josh Chen putting a little bit of distance, if you will, into Chris Fisher on this 100. First to the wall, it's Tristan Day. followed by Josh Chen and Chris Fisher. Third swimmers in the water, Evan McCorkle in lane 4. Lane 5, Anders Bookmeyer will be in the water soon. Now it's Cody Brink in lane 6 for Ames and Jones Drury in lane 8 for Ames. And lane 5 for Mason City, Anders Bookmeyer. Looks like lane 8 just has some weird split times. I might argue it's not counting well, once the pad's touched once, it has a timer that it won't take another touch for X number of seconds. It's almost like it's not counting that in the split time, that reset time. Anyway, anchor swimmers in the water. Alex Gatiba in lane 4, Solon Stroessel in lane 6, Tommy Flannery in lane 8. Anchor swimmers for Mason City in lane 5, Brody Hirsch, and in lane 7, Elias Carlson. Solomon Stroessel with a healthy lead, though it looks like Tommy Flannery may be making up a little bit of ground. Not sure the race is long enough for him to catch him, however. So looks like it's going to be the Ames A relay. First to the wall, time of 3:29.44. Second, Ames C relay 3:31.85. Third, things a little confusing on the board. Ames B relay in lane 2, second in 3:36. Something's weird with lane 8. Didn't register their finish. Like I said, lane 8's been a little weird from a timing standpoint. Anyway, Mason City swimmers. Mason City's A relay finishes 4th in a time of 4:04.52, and the B relay 4:11.40 for Mason City. Guess they have a 50 left. See if we can't get some scores, updated scores. In the varsity race, 123-32. That does not include the relay. That will not have been pointed yet. Though that's likely to add 14 points to the Ames score. So likely we're looking at 137-32 for the final score on the varsity side. Well, thanks. Appreciate everyone joining us this evening. Like I said, that's our last home meet for Ames High School here at the Dan Flannery Pool. Ames victorious in both the junior varsity and the varsity meets over Mason City. Just happy for the fact we got to have this meet after, well, this is the third try, the other two being postponed due to weather and dangerous travel conditions. Curious if you're not getting enough swimming. I'll also be live streaming a swim meet the evening of January 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's a club meet here that'll involve the ACAC Swim Club and some couple of clubs from Minnesota, some clubs from Iowa. It should be a highly competitive meet with, I'm guessing, mostly women and young lady swimmers, as most of the young men or boys are currently swimming in high school, but we may have a few of those as well. But as far as the high school age goes, if we're talking, it is a meet that has kids anywhere from 8 and under up to high school. So we'll have kids of all ages and abilities. So something to look forward to. So anyway, thanks for joining me. My name's Tony Hausman. It's been great to spend time with all of you this season from the new Dan Flannery Pool. Just an absolutely gorgeous facility. So much better than the old swim dome at the old high school. So Enjoy your evening. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
I am silent and strong, just waiting for the right moment to strike.